Suzi, thank you for being here, and Jean Luc Monsempès too, Suzi Smith. I'm Nathalie Lebas. I'm the manager of Chrysalis, which is a generative training, coaching, and consulting company. And with Jean Luc Monsempès, we are co-sponsoring the health coaching certification. So we have the honor today to have Suzi Smith with us. And so, Suzi, I have some questions for the French people. In order they know you better. So my first question is, can you tell me more about your background and what brought you to health certification?
Well, it's quite an interesting background because I have been working with Tim Hallbom for a number of years. Tim is, again, one of the other presenters in this training, and he came to me when we worked together for the state of Utah. And we worked with the division that worked with older people, protecting people over the age of 55. And neither of us were that age, but it was our job to look after these people and design programs for them. And he came to me and said, I've been asked to design a program to help the older people deal with stress in their lives. And it's a 5-day training program. And I need someone to help me design it and train part of it. Are you interested? And I said, oh, absolutely. Although I had no background in stress as such, but I was dealing with older people that lived in nursing homes. And so he and I designed this training together and decided that we just really enjoyed working with each other. And so after our work day, occasionally we would meet and design some other things. And then on the weekends or after work at night, we would do training for various and assorted people to build our reputation up. And pretty soon it got to the point where we were so well known as the people who could help other folks deal with their stress that we decided to start a training company ourselves and leave the government and go out on our own. And I learned so much about how people's behaviors impact the stress in their life. And because there is just a real automatic tie-in to how you behave and what kind of body chemistry you have inside you that might create any kind of physical symptoms. So that got me really interested in health. And I started taking care of myself differently and started doing lots of research. And not long after that, Tim and I, as a business, discovered NLP and took the NLP practitioner training, and were immediately struck with how the NLP processes we were learning could greatly improve our abilities to help the people cope with stress. So we started adding NLP into what was already a very successful stress. And for long, we ended up doing NLP practitioner training. And the very first time we did a practitioner training in Salt Lake City, where we lived, through our training center, a young man was sent to do the certification for our practitioners. His name was Robert Dilts. He was young at that time, and Tim and I were younger at that time. That was back in 1983. Wow. So Robert came in to certify that we had actually taught what we were supposed to the practitioners. And when we started talking to him about our interest in how people's behaviors changed their body chemistry, it was a match made in heaven. And Robert was working with some health issues, and we started actually cooperating with each other long distance because he lived in California, and pretty soon decided to write a book together. And the book was Beliefs, Pathways to Health and Well-Being. And out of that, yeah, we had all these people calling us to do personal work with them because we'd written the book, and they knew that we appreciated that NLP could be applied to your body, your physical body, as well as your thoughts and your emotions. And we couldn't service all the people that were calling. That's where a training to teach other people how to do what we were learning how to do ourselves. So the first health certification training was born in 1990. Wow. And it was natural for me. It was very funny. My history is I have a bachelor's degree in music. And I had never taken a sociology or psychology class in college at all. And I somehow ended up as a social worker out of college because I didn't like teaching piano, which was what I thought I would always do my whole life. I had kids sent to me who didn't want to be there. And after my first 3 or 4 students, I went, is this the life I want for myself as a career? Working with people who don't want to be there? And at that point, I didn't know any NLP, so I wasn't familiar with how to motivate people. Now I think I could be a pretty good piano teacher because I would know how to motivate kids to want to learn, because that's a part of what we do with NLP. But back then I didn't know it. I ended up being a social worker because you only had to have a degree. And I loved working with people. So it's been really natural for me to take my love of working with people into NLP. And then the natural end of it, since we were doing this stress training, was to move it into how to apply it to people's health and well-being and happiness. So that's how I ended up getting involved in the first place. And it's been my whole life since 1983, since I started studying NLP and melded it with what else I was doing in my life. It's my passion.
We sense that. Thank you, Suzi, for this beautiful story. Thank you. And so I know that you are now working with vitality, emotions, longevity. Can you tell me more about your work?
Yeah, well, I've loved studying longevity, especially to find out what it takes to live a long, healthy life, to be able to really focus in on what you need to do to live every day of your life. So I picked up every research project I could find on longevity and started looking at what they said people do. What are their behaviors? What are their attitudes? What are their beliefs for the people that are living long, healthy lives? Because none of us would want to live to be 100 and be like the people I used to work with in the nursing homes who had moved into a nursing home because they were no longer able to take care of themselves and they had to have someone else take care of them. Most of us don't want that kind of a life. So I decided to study and find out what I could find out. And then once I learned NLP, apply the NLP processes and ways of thinking to what I had learned about longevity to create some processes for health so that they're actually in charge. They are planning and moving ahead towards what they want to have in their life. And that's led me to many interesting directions. And I've been collecting studies on longevity for many, many years, and sharing that with other people. And I'm attempting to model what it takes to be older and healthier. And one of the reasons that I recently moved into a community where I had lots of support is one of the things that the long living people do is they make sure they have a support network, other people that they can call upon if they need help or that they can do things with. And I had an idyllic life in the woods, in this cabin in the woods. And in the wintertime, there is no one else in the neighborhood where I live at all. There's no. And so as I aged, as I had more birthdays, I went, oh, I don't like being up here in isolation because because of all the snow and cold, I wasn't even sure I could get out of my cabin to go into town to meet with people. And so just recently I moved to a location where I have lots of people around, a ready-made support network. And my neighbors on both sides of me now are making sure I'm up every day, are communicating with me. We're getting together, checking on each other, and doing lots of activities together, because that's one of the things that the long-lived people do. They have a support network. They have a community of social people to keep them active. And my neighbors down where I'm living now say, we see you out walking every day. And I say, absolutely. It doesn't matter what the weather is. I'm out there walking, because that's, staying active is another thing we learn as we model longevity. And, that's one thing that NLP is so good at, is modeling what works. So I had the opportunity when I worked with the nursing homes earlier in my life, when I was just in my 30s, I had the opportunity to model what I didn't want, which was to end up there. And now I'm modeling what I do want. The other really interesting thing out of my early experience with nursing homes was I had a board of directors that assisted me in designing programs for nursing homes and things of that nature. And I had some people in their 80s and 90s on my board who were still active and engaged and involved in life and had a reason to get up every single day. And they were so vital. And I contrasted them with the people that were living in the nursing homes who could no longer take care of themselves. And some of them were younger. I mean, they were just in their 50s and 60s. And I went, those are the people I want to be like, my 80 and 90-year-olds that are on my board that are saying to me, oh, we're not finished yet. We have lots that we can do in our lives to help people.
That's really good.
Yeah, and then based on how important all that is, when COVID came and I was isolated even more in my cabin in the woods and not able to continue doing my NLP training, traveling, because I couldn't get into countries. The last time I was able to do any in-person training was last fall when I came to France and Holland. And I was just lucky to be able to get into those countries
That's true.
at that time. So I've been a whole year without being able to train people in person. And because that's a part of my mission in life, is being able to learn and share with people, I thought I have to do something else. And so I found a volunteer program, the Suicide Prevention Hotline, that I took their training. And then even at my cabin in the woods, I could answer phone calls
Wow.
on the prevention hotline
Wow,
of
great.
people who were lonely and thinking of taking their own lives, and still continue to be feeling like I was making a difference in the world for people. So that's what I did for myself during that long lock-in period, was learn how to assist people when I wasn't even in their presence.
Mm.
And so I've taken what I learned from longevity, from all those studies, and applied them in my teaching whenever I had the opportunity to teach. And now I'm making sure that I am applying it in my own life so that I stay healthy and happy and live each day fully.
Thank you, Suzi. And it's such a gift for us to have you as a trainer in our health coaching certification. We have just wonderful trainers. So thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
So I know that you are singing sometimes in your trainings. Can you tell us more about that, about your song and what you are doing with music?
Well, it's very interesting because as I explained, I had this bachelor's degree in music. It just seemed natural. I played the piano from the age of 5 on. And so when it came time to go to college and decide what to study, well, I'll just keep studying piano. And someday I knew I wouldn't be a famous performer because I wasn't dedicated enough to practice 6 or 7 hours a day. 1 hour a day was okay. That won't get you to be a well-known performer. So I knew I would end up being a teacher of some sort. And I thought it would be piano. And as I explained, that just didn't work for me. When I was just graduating from college, it didn't fit my lifestyle. And so I kept playing the piano and singing in choirs, as just because music was so much a part of my life. And when I started doing trainings, and especially when we started doing health trainings and modeling some of the longevity, one of the longevity studies found that people who lived long, healthy lives liked to sing. And I thought, oh, wow, why not? And in the very first health certification training we did in 1990, one of our students brought a song in. And she said, this song is about every cell in your body being healthy and happy. And she said, we know that the words that we put inside ourselves make a difference in how our mind, body, spirit connects somehow with the world. So why not do it through song? You can do it just as easily as just putting words inside. And so she taught this song to the first health certification training. And I thought, oh, that is such a great song. I think I'm going to incorporate that in all our trainings. Well, the students reluctantly at first would sing. And then when we shared with them the research about how singing actually turns on all your neural networks, just even thinking about singing. There's research that came from a professor, Sarah Wilson, at the University of Melbourne in Australia, who hooked her students up to electrodes, had them sing, and noticed what happened. And every network in their body would light up when they were singing. So it's like endorphins for your mind, body, spirit when you're singing. And she found out even when you're thinking of singing. So I thought, well, okay, but I was often training 5 days in a row, and I knew the students probably wouldn't want to sing the same song every single day. So I started being creative and taking the tunes of other songs and putting new words to them that were about health and happiness and well-being, and teaching them to groups. And so I found giving people permission not to sing if they don't want to. By the end of a 5-day training, oftentimes we'll have the whole group standing up and singing and loving it. And this is very interesting that you ask about this, Natalie, because that very first song, Every Little Cell in My Body is Happy and Well, I have gotten so much feedback during COVID while people have been locked down about the value of that song to them. I've gotten, I'll bet I've had 25 emails from all around the world, people saying, we've adopted that song. My family has been singing it every morning when we're inside at breakfast, because so many people have found it very difficult to be isolated and locked down. And putting those words in your mind, body, spirit, every cell in my body is happy and well. I know it, I can tell, has been really beneficial for a lot of people, and people who said they actually got the virus and ended up with a case of COVID, sing it to themselves to help themselves get healthy again. And so I've been delighted to find out that it's not just a cute thing to do for training, but it has helped people keep their spirits up during this very difficult time in our world. So if you're going to get a song stuck inside your head, which many people do, it's natural. They call them, what do they call them? Earworms or something like that. That if you get it with the good words that suggest you're healthy, happy, well, all of that, then why not? Those are the messages you're putting inside yourself.
Yeah. And so years after years, we all remember that song.
It is very funny how many people remember that song. And I've been teaching it to every training group that I've done since 1990. Yeah. It's been around the world and back many times. Yeah.
Thank you.
And that's the value of it. I mean, we're not just doing it because it's cute and fun to do. It's because we're doing something inside ourselves that is very, very powerful. Even if we don't sing beautifully out loud, singing, I mean, just imagining putting the rhythm, there's something about the rhythm with the words that, again, it's as good as running. Running brings endorphins in your body, exercising does. So this is like a way to exercise your brain. Yeah.
Thank you, Suzi. I have a last question. When you know that we at this health certification training, we can have coaches, psychotherapists, doctors, nurses, or whatever. What could you say to the French people for that the benefit of that health certification training? What could it bring to them?
Well, first of all, recognizing, yes, it's wonderful for you professionally, because we teach all the communication skills and the coaching skills that you can use in any circumstance, with your family, with your children, at work, if you're on a community dialogue, anything of that nature, because communication is what we do as individuals on a regular basis. So learning how to use your words in a very powerful, healthy, happy way is in any occupation, or even if you're not, quote, working for a living, it's going to be useful in every walk of your life. And what's most important is you learn it for yourself.
Yeah.
You learn the skills that you can use with yourself should you need them. And, let's face it, things happen in life, and you never know when you are going to trip off of a curb and hurt your ankle. And if you know the NLP trauma process that we teach in this program, then you can immediately take the feeling out of it and not be damaged by having stepped off a curb and have to wear a boot on your foot for 6 months. And even if you do seek regular medical treatment, which I recommend people do, it's an add-on. It teaches you how you assist in your own healing process, no matter what you're doing. And let's face it, we know organizations have issues that could stand some healing to them. So if you're working in an organization, you recognize the patterns and can assist people in being healthier within the organization so that the organization itself becomes healthier. So it's so valuable for any walk of life. And even for people who are retired, to be able to still understand how to control their lives, how to plan their futures, how to think about themselves. I can't think of anybody in the world that would not benefit from taking this training. It's so practical, and it's so technical that people can't get it. It's very practical. And we even do daily practices that people can do, little habits that they could start with that only take 2 or 3 minutes a day to do, that are guaranteed they will make a difference in your life. And so you learn it for yourself first, I think, to make sure you are healthy and happy. And then in any walk of life that you go into, you can assist other people as well. So it's a very practical, useful training to have, because it's a skill that will go with you everywhere you go in your life.
Thank you, Suzi. Thank you very much. And we are looking forward to having you in Paris again with us.
I so enjoyed it when I was able to come last year. And that's the last training I was able to do in person. So I'm looking forward to being able to come to this training and do it in person. We were careful, and it was beautiful. It was great to be with people. And I loved being in France, walking across the bridges and seeing all the monuments that I've heard so much about my whole life. And it was a great time for me to be there because there weren't many tourists. I had France to myself.
And you had 2 guides.
The Mona Lisa and I had a very personal conversation. There was no one else around when I was standing in front of her. So I loved being in France, and I'm really looking forward to coming back. The French people were so welcoming, and it was good to learn.
Thank you very much, Suzi.